Hey, everybody. How's it going, Lord Cash?
I am doing sweet.
Woo!
But not too sweet.
Too sweet. Right there. Right there.
Baga.
Wow. Welcome to New York Nerd Show's presentation of Slam Nation Wrestling. We are only 2 weeks, not even 2 weeks.
12 days.
Yeah. From WrestleMania 37, I believe it is.
Yep.
Thing back in business. They're having fans after last year's unfortunate, I guess, debacle, so to speak, where the pandemic really hit us really hard and made the WrestleMania presentation happen in front of nobody. But this year, we're ready to rock and roll. And I'm excited for that as well. And you're pretty excited over there too. You just said,
yeah, I'm excited. Fans being actually inside the arena, inside the Thunderdome. That's gonna be great.
Yeah, it's gonna be a nice thing for sure. And they're not even at the Thunderdome. Aren't they actually at
Raymond James Stadium? I'm sorry, I'm correcting myself.
Yeah, that's another thing. A big thing is that all the shows have been in the Thunderdome of one variation or another since I think August of last year, and now they're going to be outside. They're going to be at the stadium. They're going to be in front of fans. I'm looking forward to see how many people are actually allowed, how it plays out. But ultimately, how does the show take off? All these men and women have been, waiting to be performing in front of fans for, and again, a year.
Yeah.
And how are they going to be able to have and hear that roar of the crowd, the legitimate roar, not just the
pipe in?
Yeah, exactly. And as we know, Lord Cash, how can fans actually watch WrestleMania this year? What are they going to be able to watch it on?
Binoculars.
Yes, maybe if they're in the audience, right?
Yeah.
But the good old Peacock.
Periscope.
Yeah, but NBC Universal Peacock, the new owners of the WWE Network, as of, again, I think it's going to be at the end of this physical month, you won't be able to watch the actual network app anymore. You'll be going right on to Peacock.
I believe April 4th is either the first day or the last day that you'll be able to watch it. So either by the 3rd or the 5th, you got to make a decision what you're going to do.
Exactly. And as we've talked about, there are some like special promotions that they're doing as far as to maybe be allowed to get to that, do the nice transition easier. But with that whole migration from WWE Network to Peacock, do Peacocks migrate?
I don't believe so, because I don't think they can truly fly.
Yeah, I think you're right.
And most of them live in Florida.
To where they want to go, right?
Exactly. They're already snowbirding.
But with that, that kind of in mind, there have actually already been some controversial decisions that NBC has been making in regards to the WWE Network content that they already now own, at least as far as the digital versions of it. And have you heard about any of this?
I have not. This is news to me. Breaking news.
Well, let's talk about this, because the way I see it, it's not necessarily a good thing for long-term professional wrestling fans.
Right.
Yeah, there we go. So again, the way I see it, you're going to take a look at this right now, because recently this week, Peacock, has made a big thing that came up in the news, particularly on a match that came from WrestleMania 6 involving Rowdy Roddy Piper and Bad News Brown. Now, you might already know where we're going with this, but in that match, Bad News Brown was a big brawler. Rowdy Roddy Piper is as well. Both Hall of Fame caliber wrestlers. Piper already is in the Hall of Fame. And what was going on in this feud was that basically Piper was trying to get across the point that, he has a street fighting background, right? Because he doesn't care what side of the fence that you're on. He's just going to fight you.
Right.
And he was actually quoting a Michael Jackson song at the time, Black or White. Because in that song, it was all about coming together as one. Obviously, these two are going to fight, but Piper made, a now historically infamous decision to paint himself black and white. Again, not going for anything crazy, but Piper, this match has now been banned from the WWE Network catalog, and Peacock has completely removed it.
Wow.
And that's causing a big stir because this is one of Piper's biggest matches of his career. This is Bad News Brown's only singles match on pay-per-view of his career. And there was a couple other controversial edits as well, a couple that were pretty they should do this. But this brings the question to mind is, how much else is the WWE, how much is Peacock else is going to be actually editing? Because if you would, I mean, some of these you remember, Lord Cash, from like the network as far as like the Attitude Era. But we have the infamous Katie Vick, if you remember that.
Yep.
And, obviously just Chris Benoit himself, the antics of Degeneration X. Some of them were pretty lewd. You have the whole character of Val Venus, the Godfather. Some bloodbaths that were back in the day, like JBL versus Eddie Guerrero. Vince McMahon himself has had some pretty controversial segments, one of which has already been banned. So the question I have, for you and everybody else in the audience tonight is, what's next? Do you actually, what do you think? Is Peacock going to be continuing their editing? Because the reality is, they've already announced that they're withholding a vast majority of the catalog until SummerSlam era this year.
Right.
They're going to be taking that time to migrate it, but I believe that they're going to be taking that time to edit existing film footage to kind of actually make sure that things are in line with NBC Universal's, family-friendly approach, or at least appropriate approach. What content will be removed, altered, and edited, because they've already kind of started at least somewhat rewriting history. And I don't necessarily disagree. I think there are some things that are kind of like they were questionable to begin with, but where do we go from here?
It was that's a very, very loose line to go with. If not to say that this is anything that back in those days that this was okay to do, but it made it through the network process. So it must have been at least okay on some level for it to make it to broadcast television. With that, there are certain Looney Tunes cartoons, Disney animated films that have certain disclaimers in front of them. I think even the Muppets have it. The Muppet Show from the 70s have the disclaimer in front of it as well. Based on today's society and what we view as acceptable, we acknowledge that some of the stuff in our past may not be the most ethical, the most thing that we should be. But that being said, it is a part of our history. We should not run away from it. We should not wipe it from our history, because as soon as we do that, we're putting ourselves in the position to make those same mistakes all over again.
I agree, because again, I agree 100% with you, Lord Cash. Thanks, and we just ignore them, and then they become brand new again once they, rise up, and everybody's surprised that we're suddenly being upset by it. I agree in a complete way. WWE has they did editing of the blood for years now by making go black and white.
But that's fine, though. I don't mind going black and white, because when it does, we understand why it's going there. They're not taking away the image. They're just taking away how you view that image, which to me, that is perfectly acceptable in the world of editing. They are still able to see that match and seeing those situations. They're just saying, okay, look, we may not necessarily, there's blood. You can see there's his blood. There's stuff all over these people's face. There's a color difference than this gray to that gray, but there you still know that this is blood.
Right.
But for those younger audience that may be watching it, that they want to keep that PG rating, this is a way for them to kind of that compromise with it. You can still watch this match, but we're just going to take the color away from it, so that way the red of the blood is not so in your face, so to speak.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, like just minor alterations. It's no different than like blurring also like an inappropriate scene in a movie when it goes to network TV. Its scene is still there. Bleeping of a word exactly. It doesn't at least make it go away. Like said the Roddy Piper Bad News Brown match. It's gone. Like it's completely erased from history. Bad News Brown is never going to be on WrestleMania now. And same thing, Roddy Piper. One of his biggest singles matches. It's no longer going to be in existence. And again, if you disagree with it, that's fine. There's nothing wrong with it. And Peacock, NBC Universal owns the rights to play these now, so it is what it is. But I will say, for what it's worth, the way I see it now, a long dormant, secondhand market scene, which was like videotapes. I think they're going to start blowing up again.
Yeah.
WCW ones and NWA ones, those were always selling pretty well because WWE made edits to the theme musics. But now I think you're going to see basically people trying to sell WrestleMania 6 tapes, from $1 to $3 like they have been. They're going to they're going to want the original broadcast of it. So I think you're going to see a really interesting secondhand market with those merchandise, but hopefully you'll also see a more subdued or more like laid back approach to like, what do we edit and what do we don't? So I just thought it was kind of an interesting. I kind of want to present that today to all of our audience. And again, throw it in the chat. What are your thoughts about the Peacock WWE Network edits? And we'd love to share with them. If you want to put them in the chat, in the banner, whatever, we'd love to share those with the world. But we're curious what you're thinking. But with that, Lord Cash, what are you thinking about WrestleMania now that we're only 12 days away?
That it's going to happen.
Well, hopefully. We thought it was going to happen this time last year too.
Knock on wood for you. Yeah. No. Well, what's great is like both shows are definitely ramping it up into high gear, and advertising more and more, getting those matches solidified as to what is actually going to be part of the WrestleMania matches. I believe last year we had 2 nights. There was 18 matches.
Oh, it was bananas. Yeah.
Between the 2 nights, there was 18. We are currently sitting at 11. We still have, again, 2 more Raws, 2 more Smackdowns to add potentially even more matches. I don't know if maybe just because last year they were like, let's just kind of spread them out, and we don't know exactly what time frame is going to look like. So they just added a bunch of stuff that maybe, they won't need to stack them as much, as well as some of these matches, now that we've had a year of performing, in the dark, so to speak, of no audience, that they know what to expect. They know that some of these matches, okay, this match is going to take 20 minutes. This match is going to take 30 minutes. This match is going to be 45 minutes. And they can actually build their time slots, gearing it up. So it's just one of those things where I think they're obviously better off this year than they were last year, because it was just one of those, oh, hey, by the way, that thing that's happening in like 4 weeks, not going to happen.
They were so determined to make it happen last year, and I understood why, but obviously didn't. But last year, I don't believe they had either Battle Royal. So I would imagine you could pencil in this year that you'll still have the men's Andre the Women Battle Royal, and then the women's Mae Young Invitational Battle Royal, or whatever it was. So I think those are 2 matches they haven't announced yet, but I would imagine that tonight they'll make some kind of mention of that as well, because that'll get some more people on the card.
Yeah. So, but yeah, no, a lot of the stuff that happened last week definitely kind of reflected as to what's happening. You want to go ahead and just jump on into what's
Oh, absolutely. Because like one of the guys that we'll see that had one of the first matches would be Shinsuke and Seth Rollins. They had a rematch from their match at Fastlane, and Shinsuke's off the card right now technically, but they're gonna have a spot for him. And the SmackDown Savior went back and forth with Shinsuke. Another great match. Not as high level as their pay-per-view match, but it was still strong nonetheless. This time we actually did see Cesaro make an appearance at the end, at the end of this match particularly, and he added more to that swing count. Well, actually, he didn't get him here. He just missed him, if I'm not mistaken. Am I correct, Lord Cash?
Yeah. So he tried to grab him and start to swing, but Seth was able to roll out. It wasn't until later on in the evening when they met backstage that they started the count again. Or just try to do a what is that? Break your record, break your streak. I think they're up 22 times right now.
Yep.
So they've at least started also announcing what will be night 1 and what will be night number 2. So that's at least good that they've at least started that. So we know what to expect for night 1 and for night 2. And one of them for night 1 is going to be Seth Rollins going up against Cesaro.
Right.
So do we
plans so far? Playing the plans from last week so far.
Yeah.
My Cesaro World Championship off the wall opinion.
We're getting there, I think, maybe.
Yeah.
But it's going to be interesting to see how this is going to play out. I don't think we're quite ready to go down the rabbit hole of who's going to win.
No, got some time.
We'll wait there for at least till next week.
Right.
So, but it's going to be interesting to see how this plays out. But I'm liking what they're doing with it. Both of these competitors are excellent in the ring. Storyline for the most part is not too bad.
Yeah, I think it's just, Seth's basically putting over Cesaro as a threat. They're going with that whole counter thing. And I put that in the thing before, but put in the chat, guys. What do you think the final Cesaro swing count will be by the end of their match on Saturday? So, what do you think he's going to get up to? I'm thinking 30. I think he's going to get to 30.
I think WrestleMania 37, he's going to shoot for 37.
I can see that.
So just off the wall. We'll see.
You can at least go for it.
Exactly. All righty. Our next match that happened that night was a 6-man tag. So you had the Alpha Academy teaming up with Apollo Crews and Big E teaming up with the Street Profits. This match was pretty interesting. I really wasn't sure who was going to win. They went kind of back and forth. I'm wondering if the Alpha Academy is going to have some sort of rivalry with the Street Profits, or if they were just like, hey, we don't want to have Apollo Crews and Big E fighting again, so let's, instead of having a regular tag team, let's increase the odds and put, a 6-man tag.
Oh, absolutely. And it makes it a little fresh because, obviously, the match ended, with Apollo Crews pinning Big E actually pretty cleanly, believe it or not, with his angle slam, for the lack of a better verbiage. But it gave a little bit of a like a I can't think what I'm trying to say. But bottom line is, those guys didn't have to have a brawl again. They didn't have to have a singles match again, and it just kind of gave a little bit more of a some credit, creed. I think to basically the bottom line, the question I put on the screen, I think it gave Apollo Crews a little bit more of a bragging right. It's like maybe he will be able to pin Big E when it counts at WrestleMania.
It increases his threat meter.
There you go. We'll give it that. I'm like the credentials. I can't even speak right now, but yeah.
All right. Now, one of the things that happened there, we kind of saw this happening as well, but based off of the events of this night, we had a brand new match, and that was Kevin Owens invited Sami Zayn to come on to the KO show based on the events that happened last week concerning his match with blanking on the name of it. But basically, Kevin Owens was like, dude, you're reading into this. You're seeing what you want to see. There is really no conspiracy. So the question I have for you is, you and me, WrestleMania, yes or no? Which again, these guys haven't fought in quite some time, right. So it'll be interesting to kind of have them renew that feud. But of course, Sami Zayn was like, when he came out to the ring, he was like, "Oh my gosh, yes, you can still be a part of this, even though Paul Logan."
And who is that? Are you familiar with him?
Yes. So he's a very famous YouTube person. There are people in my household that don't like him because of some controversial stuff that he's involved in.
Okay.
So my oldest daughter was like, why are they associating himself with him? And I was like, he's got the followers.
Right.
So that's kind of the bottom line is what it is. So,
and some of the from this is that he did mention that Sami Zayn's supposedly going to have his world premiere of his a video next SmackDown, and that Logan Paul guy is going to be actually present.
Yep. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly what that is. If that's going to be a Peacock original video, or if it's just going to be able to catch it on YouTube or something. But the match is officially made for night 2. Kevin Owens will go one-on-one with his anti-friend, arch nemesis.
Funny enough, Lord Cash, where you're saying that this was actually going to be one of the way I see it as well. I wasn't sure if they're going to come back together because exactly, they've been friends, they've been enemies, they've been friends, they've been enemies. So it's like, yeah, what are they now? Frenemies?
Yeah. So it's gonna be interesting to see exactly what this rolls out to be, and I believe, it's just we're just gonna have to see what happens.
They're gonna have an exciting week leading up to Mania, though, because again, I can't wait to see what they actually do with that Sami Zayn. They're going to be basically closing up that whole camera crew gimmick that's been going on since last summer, and I'm just really excited to see where leads to.
Yep.
Another thing that kind of happened this week on SmackDown, that it was basically Bianca Belair and Natalia, Natty, basically had a one-on-one match, and I don't know how much it really meant for Bianca Belair. Just gave her an opportunity to get a win. That was for sure. The match was strong. I mean, you get in the ring with Natty, you can't go wrong. She's definitely a legend in the business. Just coming from that strong family, if nothing else. But it was a good match, back and forth. Gave Bianca some more guidance. Because as she's becoming a really good star on her own. The bottom line is, she wins the match. As does Bianca. And then you have a little bit of a tussle with Sasha Banks, again, really cementing the fact that Sasha is going to be the heel going into the match. More slaps, just talking smack at the ring. I think more than anything, this kind of made me realize that not only Bianca Belair is going to win the title at WrestleMania. I'm pretty confident anyway. Because Sasha can move forward, without it, and it'll really firmly establish Bianca as a threat. But I think it also, to me, I think it actually made me realize who I feel is going to be the winner of the Mae Young Women's Battle Royal this year, should they have it. I would imagine you got Natty. She hasn't had a lot of official success on her record in a while, and I think that she would benefit greatly from that potential win should they go in that direction. Just when I watched her on Friday, it just kind of dawned on me. I'm like, she's on every week. Legitimately, she's fighting in pretty strong matches between, these, either with the tag team champions of Shayna and Nia, or in between the different contenders for the women's title. So I think that's what came to mind, to be honest with you, Lord Cash.
I can definitely, I feel that she could use that little clout, that little extra notch on her belt. Obviously she's nowhere near retiring, but right. She's also one of the more senior females on the roster that I don't know if they're going to, be giving her the belt anytime soon.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Yeah, but I mean, we'll see if they even do the Battle Royal. Hopefully they do, because it's one of those things every year people talk about, do all of the wrestlers deserve to be on that big stage every year just as a thank you, or do they? Right. This is one of those times where, in my opinion, they do, because everybody on that roster has been, professionally starving from that interaction with the crowd.
Yeah.
So I think it'd be great for everybody just to get that shot to oh my God, finally walking out in front of crowds. So I think that'd be great to have everybody in those 2 Battle Royals if they go in that direction.
Right. Well, yeah, I definitely agree that they should, if you're on the roster and you want to be out there, absolutely give you the shot.
Yeah. Well, 2 shots within 30 days.
Yes, exactly. All righty. Well, our next match, this was a one-on-one match between Rey Mysterio and Dolph Ziggler. Both of them had their, counterparts out there. What was your thought on that little throw that he did to Rey Mysterio?
So I only have one complaint about it. I thought it was fantastic, but he didn't win. That should have been the finish. whoop, just dump him in there, and then have like Rude just throw him back in the ring or something. But it was it was definitely great. I love that the match. These guys have wonderful chemistry. All of them do. This is another thing. How was that not the finish? He hit it with his finish move. The 619 was attempted so many times. I think it counted 3 times it missed, But those are like little like nitpicks. I mean, I'm neither one of us are wrestlers, so it's whatever. I mean, I was entertained, made me get a reaction. Great match. I'm just still curious what they're gonna do with those SmackDown tag team titles come WrestleMania. Still feeling they're gonna have a 4-way.
Yeah.
Because I mean, like again, it's like one of those things where the Mysterios just beat the tag team champions. Well, half of the tag team champions. You've got the back and forth with Otis, Alpha Academy, and the Street Profits.
Yeah,
I think that'd be a great match. But this match was pretty nice. I love it. Ziggler and Ziggler's been around in the company for better part of 15 years, and Mysterio better part of 20. And that doesn't even count WCW years before that. So great show. Great match. I mean, how about yourself?
Oh, I agree. They've definitely, I've been following them in the WWE for a long, long time. So definitely Ziggler, he goes out there and he is the new showstopper. I feel that he is doing that because he goes out there and when he does, he puts on a show. So definitely, I agree.
Yeah. I'm still holding out hope though that Rey Mysterio is going to fight Dominic at the pay-per-view and WrestleMania and give him his mask.
Yeah, I don't think
that's happening. There was like a prediction I was calling from like November, but we're nowhere near that right now.
Do you know what time it is?
Vader time?
It's Stump All That Pat time.
Woo!
Right, it is our time for trivia. So we're gonna see if I can pull a question out of my etherness and see if I can stump you here.
Bring it on, Lord Cash, because I've got a noggin that's full of nonsense and full of useless information.
There you go. So I feel like this was going to be a pretty easy one, but it kind of relates to what's going on in SmackDown with Rey Mysterio and Dominic. Dang it. How do you do that?
Yeah.
So on SmackDown, they made a comment that they are really vying for those tag team title belts.
Yep.
Has there ever actually been a father-son tag team champion? This could be a very easy yes, here they are, or nope, and we move on.
I know. I'm trying to think.
Because there have been many years and many of examples throughout the years where you have had father and son team up. You've had, Dwayne Johnson team up with, the Soul Man, Rocky Johnson back in WrestleMania 13, I believe.
Yeah, well, he was in his corner for the IC belt, but the point's still there. Randy and his father, Bob Orton, fought The Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell. No titles there.
Right. You had Dusty Rhodes and Dustin at
Royal Rumble 90. They fought $1 Million Man and Virgil. I'm gonna go ahead and say, unless you could pull something completely ridiculous, which you probably will, I don't think so. I don't think that there's ever win them or compete for them.
Well, win them.
Okay, then no. I don't think this ever happened.
I could not find anything.
Oh, thank God. First episode of Stump All That Pat, and you beat me, and I'm like, no way, come on.
No, because I did a little research. I didn't put as much time into it, but I tried. But everything I found out was like, yes, they have teamed together,
right?
But they've never been any. I don't think anybody's even fought for belts.
Yeah.
That matter.
So. I mean, brother duos for sure. Brother duos have won, have fought.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I don't believe that there's ever been a father-son duo for belts.
So I almost think that they actually may do that just to solidify, give that extra notch for Rey Mysterio to actually have that father-son tag team title.
Oh, I agree 10,000%. If they do the four-way match at here's the bottom line. If they're involved in any kind of tag title match, they're winning it. There's no question in my mind that they're going to walk away with the tag titles.
So that was my little segment there. There is one more match. There was not really a match, but it was a scuffle that happened in SmackDown, but is a major announcement that happens with SmackDown. So basically,
official.
Yeah. So this is part of last week's, as I see it, from All That Pat. Basically, we had Daniel Bryan come on out and pretty much, in so many words, demand that he gets another shot at it. He doesn't want to be given it. He's willing to work at it. He wants Roman Reigns for that Universal title, and he did not want to go anywhere until that happened. Of course, Edge had a little bit of things to say, basically saying, "Look, dude, you fought in the Royal Rumble. You lost there against me. You fought for the title last Sunday. You lost there. You're done." So, of course, they really didn't like that. So Edge and Daniel Bryan started getting into a little scuffle. Daniel Bryan, of course, gets speared, and that kind of, and even he busts out the chair and starts hitting him with it again.
Yeah.
That kind of leads then to Adam Pearce being confronted by Edge, Roman Reigns, and Daniel Bryan, making their point as to say, Daniel Bryan's done. There doesn't need to be, a one-night competition or a two-night competition or anything of that nature. So it's done is done. However, later that night, Adam Pearce pretty much calls all three of them out and makes the announcement that on WrestleMania, the match for the Universal title will be between all three of them. So Daniel Bryan will be going up against Edge and Roman Reigns for the Universal title, which of course causes chaos to, break out there. Chairs get involved. Double spears are happening left and right. But I think pretty much Edge kind of had the last word, if you will, just because he kept going with the chair shots and almost got a concerto on Daniel Bryan.
Oh, yeah. I mean, bringing that back out again, I'm so happy that Edge is, officially a bad guy right now. At least I feel he is. I mean, all three guys have a legitimate beef, a legitimate claim to being in the main event. That is going to be such a fantastic match at WrestleMania. We'll talk about it with our preview show next week, going into WrestleMania as we talk about that. But I know who I'm picking for WrestleMania. And we'll talk about that a little bit next week after we get another SmackDown under our belts too, quite honestly. But yeah, worst kept secret in wrestling, so to speak, about where they were kind of going with that.
Yeah.
But man, I'm looking forward to WrestleMania so much, especially from the SmackDown side.
Yeah, it's going to be pretty good. I know I've got the list here somewhere of all the matches, but I haven't actually dissected them. Okay, how many does SmackDown have? How many does Raw have? Typically, because Raw is a 3-hour program, they tend to have more content, more matches. By at least that, especially when they do their lottery, it's 2-1.
The
on the pick. So I kind of I understand that, but I also feel it's kind of messed up.
It's not fair.
Exactly.
And when you talk about being fair, Lord Cash, you got to be fair to Flair.
Yes.
That was an old chestnut, an old comment from back in the day when the Nature Boy Ric Flair was your WWF World Champion. And recently, Lord Cash, you were given some homework last week to watch one of my all-time favorite WrestleMania matches and the first WWF Championship match that I ever saw from a WrestleMania, and that was World Champion Nature Boy Ric Flair going one-on-one with the Macho Man. Ooh, yeah! Randy Savage. What? Well, I won't say anymore. Lord Cash, what were your takeaways? What were your thoughts on this historical match?
Well, this match is going to be called part of our Be Kind Rewind series. So as we take a look back at some classic matches, some classic pay-per-views, things of that nature. So I was given this match by AllThatPat, so I'm going to jump into it real quick. This pay-per-view was WrestleMania was live at the Hoosier Dome up in Indiana, and it kind of just came out of it right out of the gate. You know, Mr. Perfect was at Ric Flair's side, so there was a little bit of underhandedness going on there. You've got two of the dirtiest players in the game, so to speak, and I guess it was all based off of some inappropriate photos that Ric Flair may have had of Miss Elizabeth.
Yeah, so basically the whole premise of the match was that basically Macho Man Randy Savage and Miss Elizabeth were married. You know, like, and they were like one of like the biggest couples, you know, in wrestling history and at that moment. And so Ric Flair had alluded that he was having an affair with Elizabeth, and that he had been with her even before Randy. Now, at the time, I was like 11, and any of this going on was like just crazy. And there's a very well-known, I'll probably pull it up, but basically the WWF magazine at the time actually published some of these pictures, where it was basically they had pictures of them like basically in the pool and in a horse barn, and at a time, in my time, like I could not, figure out how did they do these photos. Like they must have been, like fixed. They must have been like fake images, because again, for me, I could not fathom the idea. Like, wait, maybe they really were they just had these two people and they said, oh, come over here, just take a picture, because I thought it was real. So I'm gonna show this like picture right here to give you an idea. This was one of the big photos that they shared. On the site, you see where she's holding the strawberries?
Nope.
Okay. Well, she's holding strawberries.
Okay.
I'll try to share that again. But anyway, the bottom line is, there's all these photos of poolside, whatever. So that made Macho Man Randy Savage incensed, to kind of like make it seem like, his wife was cheating on him. So of course he's just going at it. And he happens to be the number one contender for the title too. But as you'll see in this match, like, the world title became second in this match because Macho Man just wanted to get revenge for himself and the lovely Elizabeth. So we'll go ahead and continue with that. I just thought that was like, it was a great thing. The match was a classic though. Both these guys know how to work. Macho Man Randy Savage was selling a knee injury, which would basically lead into Ric Flair's finisher, the figure four leg lock.
Oh yeah.
God, yeah, it was so good. And Macho Man Randy Savage, like, he made me believe he was injured all the time. And knowing now, he wasn't. He's just like, he's a good actor in the world of, between the ropes. But, also Ric Flair starts bleeding buckets.
Oh, yeah.
And what did you think about when you saw that in all reality?
Like, I'm trying to think. He barely gets hit. Like on one of the bicycle racks, and I'm like, that busted him open. I'm like, okay, I understand. Ric Flair has got thin skin, that he gets always busted open. Having the blonde hair, definitely runs with that gimmick quite often. But yeah, it just.
He just looks like ridiculous because, like, it basically, his hair gets all crazy. Because the color of it too. But did you notice? Well, it's coming up. Well, let it play out because I'm wondering if you noticed a cameo that might have been unexpected.
Well, are you referring to actually Miss Elizabeth? Oh no, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
Shane McMahon.
Yeah, he was a ringside assistant at the time. I think he was like 18.
But, yeah, well, because this took place in what, 92?
92.
So he would have been 22 years old.
Yeah, so obviously as a kid, I didn't know who that was. I didn't even think about it. But that was one of the Hebners. I picked up on that. But yeah, going back and watching it when I was probably like, I don't know, around the Attitude Era, I remember watching it again. I'm like, wait a minute, that's Shane McMahon. And now it's become kind of like well known. But here comes Elizabeth. She was told to hang out in the back because Macho Man didn't want her getting hurt. And she's like, no. She's like, she never came out as something that's like, that like aggressive, but she's like shoving everybody out of the way. And there's Shane-O right there on the left. And the the drama in this, so that, like all the different things of like it's when they're doing like the knee crusher. Here comes the finish.
Yep.
He goes, woo! Ducks a punch, and he has the tights. Macho Man, the good guy. He's just gonna fight fire with fire. He still wins the world title. What a pop! What an amazing thing! And this was the first time that I can remember hearing the announcement of a new champion, and then hearing what became like legendary, the Howard Finkel call, where he would let the audience kind of simmer a little bit, let them get the pop, and then get the cheers out. And just as the audience kind of simmered down, then he would actually hit with the actual announcement, and it would be the and new WWF World Heavyweight Champion, and give the opportunity for the crowd to erupt once again. I'll be honest with you, Lord Cash, I learned from this match and from that call when I did ringside wrestling. Whatchamacallit, I was a ring announcer for a while, and I did one of the matches I ever called was with Brody Lee. He dropped his NWA World title to a guy named Jimmy Olsen in a cage match, and I literally fouled that to a T because of what I saw in this match. And it worked. It was like magic. Because again, once the crowd was kind of settling down, I hit it with that. And again, I learned it from this match. I learned so much about wrestling in this match.
That's awesome.
So I'm hoping you're not going to respond to my next question by saying it stunk. But did you like the match?
No, it was a really good match. I'm going to be honest with you. I think that is actually the first, based on his chronological career, that would have been the first time I would have actually seen him wrestle in the WWF/E. Yeah, Ric Flair.
Yeah.
I've always associated him with like WCW.
Yeah.
So I never realized that he actually was on the same roster at the same time a lot with Hulk Hogan. I've always thought those were two people on opposite brands of the spectrum, that I did not realize that they were actually on the same, like I said, the roster. That was one of, and also this is what's weird. This was like the fifth match from the evening.
Yeah.
So, and there was like a double header main event, which not the first time that they've done that. But this was like the fifth match, and then they had like four more matches, and then you had the Sid Justice versus Hulk Hogan match as your top line, and there was no title involved.
Well, the reason. Well, do you know the reason why that match went on last? At least for like the storyline purposes.
I know like some of the storyline behind it, but I don't know why it went on last.
So it was Hulk Hogan's retirement match.
Okay. Oh, that's right. I did remember something about it being like this could be his last match.
Yeah. So I mean, obviously that didn't really happen. Right. But yeah, this was Hulk Hogan's retirement match, which is why Hogan went on last. And it gave an opportunity for the Ultimate Warrior to come back out of nowhere. But that's for another time.
Right. All right. Well, we ready to jump over to Raw?
Yeah. Well, just for real brief, you want to give everybody just a little bit of a little, let them notice what the next week's version of this segment's going to be. What match we're covering next week for Be Kind Rewind?
This is going to be my request to you, right?
You got it.
All righty. So since it is WrestleMania season, we're kind of going off of what was your first WrestleMania. Yours was WrestleMania 8. I was a year late coming to the party. So my first WrestleMania was from Las Vegas and WrestleMania 9. So if I'm not mistaken, the one I did for you was going to be Lex Luger versus Mr. Perfect at WrestleMania 9 and from Vegas.
You got it. So we'll see you next week on that one, guys.
Right on.
Said time to get Raw. What happened last Monday?
All right. So see how quickly we can go this. We got 14 minutes until Raw starts. So we're going to possibly burn through them a little bit real quick. So Asuka went up against Peyton Royce. Peyton had her little moment on Raw Talk where she's like, the time, of being held back is done. I deserve a title shot. I want Asuka. Give me the title. And so they gave her a match, and I think she held her own. during this match. Unfortunately, she did not win, but I felt that she did pretty well. I've never really considered her a strong performer, but that's just because they really haven't given her that opportunity to do so. What was your thoughts on this match?
I agree. Yeah, this was a nice opportunity for her to show as a single star, because again, she was always a performer as far as it's like a silly wrestler. Nice to see a refreshing back and forth competitive match for the women's title with a new person. Yeah. I liked it. I think you got big things going forward for Peyton Royce. Liked it. Didn't expect her to win or anything, but it served the purpose. I gave it a thumbs up.
Yeah, because it did set up where Rhea Ripley made her debut on Raw, and pretty much she comes on out and pretty much says, Asuka, you, me, I want you at WrestleMania. What are your words? And of course, Asuka agrees to it. So at WrestleMania, there will be for the Raw Women's title, and it's going to be, I believe, on night 2. So it'll be Asuka versus Rhea Ripley. And so we're going to see how that plays out at WrestleMania.
Great match coming forward. I do hope they don't put it as a 3-way. There'll be too many 3-ways as it is.
No, if Charlotte comes back and they add her into it, because I'm wondering if that's who you're referring to.
Of course.
No. Let these two ladies have their time. If Rhea Ripley does take the belt, then that gives a WrestleMania rematch from 36 last year when Charlotte took the NXT title from Rhea. Then let's set that up, that storyline.
Exactly.
But don't worry about the triple threat. Don't do that. We've already got one. We don't need 2.
Right.
In theory. All right. Our next match, Jeff Hardy going up against The Miz. What was your thoughts on this match?
Nothing crazy, nothing special, nothing bad. I think it's funny because it shows you like a perfect example of like who the company is pushing into a match. Because Jeff Hardy would have beaten The Miz all day long because Jeff Hardy normally has a match at a pay-per-view, but because The Miz has his big money match with Big Bunny or Bad Bunny, whatever, he beat him. He beat him clean with the skull-crushing finale. It was fine. Put over the match, put over his move, and Miz wins. And then at the end, he gets smacked in the back with the guitar, again, officially setting up the match with Big Buddy. I keep saying big. I'm like R-Truth. So yeah, it's a one-on-one match instead of a tag match. From what I understand, it has to do with John Morrison hurt his knee a couple weeks ago. So that's why they got rid of the tag title of the tag match for it. But honestly, bottom line, Bad Bunny, Miz, WrestleMania one-on-one. I just hope that Bad Bunny has better cardio than it seemed like he was on Monday, because that guy was out of breath just hitting him with a guitar.
Yeah, I'm surprised that if they had to get rid of one of them, why they didn't go him and Damian Priest.
They could do that at any time. At WrestleMania, they're going to get massive ratings and coverage by having Bad Bunny fighting. I mean, you're going to
Grammy Award winning.
Yeah, I think
Saturday Night Live host or musical guest star. So yeah, I get it. Makes sense. What doesn't make sense is Braun Strowman versus Elias. This match where, from the night prior, Elias didn't have proper time to prep for his match. This time he actually did have time to prep for it. Didn't do him any good. Shane was injured. But yeah, basically Elias just got the floor mopped with him, Braun Strowman, which of course you look at the two, even as big as he is, he's not going to be taken out by Braun Strowman. And then of course, Shane McMahon hits him over the head with over the back with a crutch, and it just total bends, which of course causes him to run out of the ring, showing that he's not as injured as he was led to believe. And then of course now that's going to set up the match at WrestleMania, a one-on-one match with Braun Strowman going up against Shane O'Mac. Don't know exactly what night that is going to be. It's still listed as one or the other.
Yeah.
They may have mentioned it in the promos and everything. I just haven't got the graphic for it. So, hey.
My 2 takeaways from this match was, one, they actually give Braun Strowman train sound effects when he runs around the ring, which is completely ludicrous.
Yep.
And 2, they did say, there's going to be in some kind of match. Like, and that's what I'm curious too. Like you just said, like, I'm really curious. Hell in a Cell, cage match, you can't run away, bucket of slime match, whatever. But we'll see what happens. But I hope Ron just kicks the snot out of him.
I'm wondering if it's going to be a and I know you may have just said it, but it just didn't register in my head. But basically, where they got the strap match,
yeah,
where they're like.
No, I didn't think about that as another way because they got to keep it so Shane can't run. That's pretty much the idea.
And basically, if you're tied to him, you ain't going anywhere. And whether it has to be, and I can almost see it if they do where you have to like touch the four posts,
right?
Kind of do that type of match again. I know like Eddie Guerrero and
JBL
had one of those matches in the past. So
right,
we'll see. Time to talk about the almighty Bobby Lashley. So this one has started off with a match between Bobby Lashley and Sheamus. It didn't quite go as the way Sheamus thought. And in fact, I believe the Hurt Business kind of got involved in this, causing Sheamus to lose this match. I thought it was an okay match. I didn't think anything was like spectacular about it. They just, they performed pretty well. But again, I think they're more utilizing this to springboard the other match that's basically happening between Drew McIntyre and Bobby Lashley.
Oh, absolutely. Just showing that Bobby Lashley can knock him out even quicker. I was shocked that Sheamus was on his feet after that crazy false count anywhere, no holds barred match the previous night with Drew McIntyre. They're also presenting Bobby Lashley that he's not a traditional heel. He's not like he's not like a coward. He doesn't cheat really. He actually got mad when the Hurt Business was getting involved. He was annoyed at them, as you'll see later, that they're getting they're getting in his way almost, and he wanted to make sure that I don't know, just they were there to help. But okay, bottom line is Lashley dominated. He beat Sheamus pretty clean with that Hurt Lock.
Yeah. So and then afterwards, Drew McIntyre does come out to the ring to kind of help Sheamus, even though they're not buddies. There's at least some bit of respect there, but again, it all goes back to the fact that Bobby Lashley is going up against Drew McIntyre for the title at WrestleMania, which of course then leads to another match later that night. Drew McIntyre going 1-on-2 with the Hurt Business, and the stipulations this time around is if Drew McIntyre can beat them, then the Hurt Business of Cedric Alexander and Shelton Benjamin are then barred from the ring. They are not allowed to come out, and it will be truly a more one-on-one match through Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre. This one, it just kind of shows how powerful Drew McIntyre is. Even though it's a 2-on-1, he still was able to come out with a win, and therefore those two are barred from ringside.
Yeah, and they're the recent Raw Tag Team Champions too, so they're not presented as like slouches either. So, but yeah, the WrestleMania is going to be a great main event between him and Lashley, and I can't call it. I can't pick it. I think either guy could win with it, but we'll talk again about that next week. But solid match, strong efforts by everybody involved.
Yeah, so as I mentioned, there's the match between the two of them. I can't remember which night they're supposed to be on, but we'll make that announcement closer to the night.
Exactly.
So I do have another segment called The Cutting Room Floor.
Oh, I was curious about this one. Yes.
So basically, if you watch the USA version of Raw, you get the full thing. You get everything there. However, if by chance you catch the 90-minute Hulu version of Raw, there's usually a match or two, maybe a backstage segment that they kind of cut from it. So these are the matches, and if you watch Hulu, you have no clue what's going on with these. So you do have the Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler going up against Mandy Rose and Dana Brooke. Very, very quick match. Shayna and Nia are pretty much dominating this match. They gave what they could, but pretty much the match was over before it even started. And of course, you had Lana and Naomi out kind of doing commentary while the match was going on. But pretty much, by chance, did you catch this episode or did you watch the Hulu?
No. I've been ever since I got the USA app. I've been watching it. Yeah.
So, like I said, that one was pretty much a match. And then this one kind of surprised me. This one I felt should have been on there, but knowing what else was on there, it kind of I make sense. But it was basically a one-on-one match between AJ Styles and Kofi Kingston. They kind of start furthering their tag match they're going to be doing at WrestleMania. Now that New Day is your, Raw tag team champions.
Now, what was almost his favorite ice cream flavor, like peanut butter ripple or something like that?
I don't remember.
Yeah, the whole thing they started by like saying basically that like almost AJ's not your friend. He's not really your friend. Okay, let's do this. AJ, what's his favorite wrestler? And he's like, of course it's me. And he goes, no, it's Andre the Giant. Like, what's his favorite ice cream flavor? Vanilla. Peanut butter ripple, actually. Gave Oz was a lot of time to talk for sure. The match stuff was solid. This had like one of the coolest reversals to the Trouble in Paradise I've ever seen. Did you catch that? You went for the Trouble in Paradise on Kofi, and AJ had quite the reversal.
I don't think I saw that.
They timed it perfectly. Where like right as Kofi was in midair turning to kick him, AJ did an enziguri kick and knocked him right in the back of the head. It was so smooth. That was probably the highlight of that whole match.
I think I may have seen that.
But really good match, and I agree with you as well. It's like, why did it get cut? Because there's nothing else that couldn't get cut.
Yeah, pretty much. And it was just a one-on-one match, so I'm sure between this week or next week, they'll definitely highlight building up to the Smackdown title match. I'm sorry, the tag team match.
Right.
So, and then, of course, our last event of the night was Randy Orton summons the Fiend. So nothing could go wrong here.
No, exactly. They're gonna give him flowers.
It's like, by the way, I got a Domino's pizza for you.
Yeah.
So basically, he's out in the ring. Alexa Bliss kind of comes out and helps with the summoning process. And poof, here he is. The lights go down. Come back up. He's in there. He grabs the gasoline, starts to put gasoline on him, but instead of lighting it up, issues the RKO. But pretty much almost immediately, the Fiend just stands right back up, grabs Randy Orton, and starts giving him the mandible claw, and then turns it into the Sister Abigail.
Yeah, and then obviously, and then you got Alexa Bliss and the Fiend pointing at the WrestleMania sign, confirming they're going to have some sort of a match at WrestleMania. And again, this was a very nothing segment in the sense of like it didn't do anything different than the night before, didn't it? I think the reason why it was there in the main event was just to get the people that were like capitalize on the buzz. I think a lot of people were talking about the Fiend's new outfit, and they want to people tune in on the show so they could actually see it themselves. But again, the segment did nothing. But it wasn't a bad nothing. I don't think they complained, but it didn't further anything because we already knew they were going to fight at WrestleMania. They weren't going to just do all this and say, "Oh, by the way, they'll see it at SummerSlam." No, they're going to have to do something. So tonight, I didn't see much of anything really announced other than supposedly Lashley and McIntyre doing some kind of a it says literally place the target on Drew McIntyre because he did actually put a bounty on him. He went into the Raw locker room and just basically said, anybody that can take him out, I'll give you money. Which kind of goes against what I remember saying earlier about him not being a bad guy, but I forgot about that segment.
There's 3 things that have been announced. On one is that one. Asuka and Rhea Ripley are going to be doing their contract signing for WrestleMania, and then the only official match that has been announced as of right now is Sheamus is going to go one-on-one with Riddle in a non-title match.
Okay, that might lead to them fighting for the U.S. title at WrestleMania.
Most likely.
Because this close to the card, they got to do something for both of them. Now, as we wrap things up, there's actually a lot of announcements when it comes to the WWE Hall of Fame this year. Did you
Yes.
catch all the announcees, including today at a new one?
Yeah, so I actually had those pulled off to the side, and I just haven't actually had a chance to talk to them. You want to start with the beginning since we haven't actually covered them?
No, absolutely. I think we're up to 6 of them. Molly Holly was, I believe, the first person that was announced into the WWE Hall of Fame, announced about 2 weeks ago when she was on the Bump, I believe it's called, or
Yep.
whatever it is. And the Hurricane, her former on-screen partner, announced that. So that was really cool to be able to see Molly Holly, a definite trailblazer in the women's wrestling. And she did a lot of stuff for the women, even on the side, without being acknowledged for it. She paid for somebody's wrestling training school. I remember seeing that a while back.
Wow.
We also had Eazy-E, Eric Bischoff, the former general manager of Raw and the president of WCW back in the day. He was a huge glaring omission when they announced the NWO going in for last year's, but he had to go in eventually, so he's going in the same year as they are now.
Yeah.
We had dueling giants that were announced this past week. Kane and the Great Khali were both announced to go in. Khali, the only reason why I could see why he went in legitimately is that he created such a huge contribution to the country of India, brought a lot of eyes onto the product for WWE. So as far as that goes, he was an ambassador over there. It makes sense. There are some people that just watch the product as it being the American product, scratching their heads because even he was a world champion. He was junk in the ring.
Yeah.
But he did a lot for them. And then the other guy that wasn't junk in the ring, though, is Kane. Definitely no surprise there. I mean, I wasn't sure when it was going to happen, but he's pretty much retired. I mean, he was in the Rumble, but it didn't do anything or matter. Kane hopefully gets inducted by The Undertaker. We'll see.
Well, I know he made the announcement to Kane.
Yeah, exactly.
So, and I thought that was kind of cool that, and like he almost like started crying and everything. I'm like, oh, that hurt. That touches,
The demon has tears.
Exactly.
And then today, the big news was Mr. Monday Night, Rob Van Dam was inducted into the WWE Hall of Fame for this year. Again, it's a big one right there. Former Intercontinental Champion, former WWE Champion, Tag Team Champion, hardcore, not European, but almost every belt the guy's had. And it's like one of the biggest names to think about when you think of ECW itself. So, big kudos to him. Again, so far, the Hall of Fame class of 2021 looks strong.
Yeah.
No jokes in there. And even 2020, which is going to be all combined together this year in a 2-day event, from what I understand. You're going to have a lot of good speeches, but a lot of good, names being, going into it. I think it's a great show so far.
Yeah, it's gonna be really nice. These are the 5 that they've announced so far. But again, you still got 2 more weeks that this week and next week that potentially more people will get announced. After watching WrestleMania 8, I am vying for Reba McEntire to be inducted for the celebrity wing. She did the.
I'm sorry, I have to interrupt you. It is Reba McEntire. It's Reba McEntire.
Is there like more than 2? Is there more than one?
No. She sang the national anthem, and then Tito Santana came out. He was the Matador, and Bobby Sneak, he's making a joke. It's like it's Tito's sister, Reba McEntire. It made me crack up. So
gotcha.
Yeah, seriously.
But I would love to see her. She's definitely one of my favorite country singers, and so I would love to see her in the celebrity wing of the Hall of Fame.
Why not?
If Drew Carey can be in there, why can't Reba McEntire?
Drew McIntyre was in the Royal Rumble, though.
But I said Drew Carey.
That's what I meant. I did meet Drew Carey, though.
Okay.
He paid off a bunch of wrestlers and paid off Kane to basically eliminate him.
Well, very cool. We'll just see if there's any more announcements to the Hall of Fame. Like I said, 12 more days until the official start of WrestleMania. It's going to be one exciting night. Definitely with all the matches that they've got lined up as of right now, it's definitely a stacked card. So
absolutely. It'd be a good time. And like I said, right now, Monday Night Raw is just getting started. We'll see what happens tonight. because not a lot was announced, as Lord Cash said, but hopefully a lot does happen because we still have those, 12 days. With that being said, if you want to kind of do a quick rundown, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. We do appreciate you guys watching us tonight, as always, or on a replay. We're still here, so you can always watch this stuff on review. You can watch it on Twitch, YouTube, or Facebook. The videos are always on there, especially on YouTube and Facebook. We do many shows throughout the week, including our scheduled one. One of our scheduled shows is every Thursday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. We do I Stream, You Stream, where we basically talk about an ongoing show, movie, series, whatever it might be, from the world of streaming video. Currently, we're doing the Falcon and the Winter Soldier series on Disney+. So this Thursday, we'll talk about episode 2. And then also we have a whole lot of crazy card collecting to get through, Lord Cash.
Oh, yeah.
All these different things, whether they be retro cards from like The Simpsons in the 80s or one of our current favorites is Garbage Pail Kids. Lots of stuff we look at. And I know, Lord Cash, you talked to me the other day. You got a couple crazy card collecting to go through us too.
Yeah. I was did a little Call of the Wild where we go out to kind of find stuff in the stores and come home, and then we kind of just show it up on camera. So I went to a local comic book store near me, and I found some cards that are going to be pretty cool for us to unpack. It's going to be pretty neat.
I can't wait to see what you found on those days and open up those cards, because you sent me on a special hunt to look up these Funko Pops that 7-Eleven is currently putting out there with Stone Cold Steve Austin and a Deadpool. So if you're interested in Funko Pops, you're looking at half the equation over here, because Lord Cash hosts his own show called Funko Royalty, which is a fantastic look at the collectible known as Funko Pop. This guy's got 7,014. I think it's what you're up to now, 7,014?
I think you're off by like 3. Okay.
7,014, 17. Yeah, but yeah, his whole house is built out of Pops. It's pretty impressive how stable they are.
Yep, they're pretty good,
Guys, thank you so much for joining us. Again, check us out every Monday night at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for Slam Nation. Again, next week we'll be going really deep into the WrestleMania lineup, because we'll have it more confirmed at that point. We'll also, like he said, we're going to be taking a look at his first WrestleMania and taking a look at the Mr. Perfect versus Narcissist Lex Luger match. And I'll have another conspiracy, another thing about, I'll tell you like how I see things going forward with that. So with that being said, I'm AllThatPat. He's
Lord Cash.
And we're out of here. Adios. See you next week on the Slam Nation.
Take care.